Hello, hello! We've been making a Fakemon region. So far, we've covered the base inspiration and lore behind the region itself, and how the 4 box legendaries and mythic Pokemon tie into it, and we've also covered the starters, as well as a bunch of new Pokemon that fill the gaps of unused type combos. And today, let's go over some more of my ideas for new Pokemon, such as the regional bird, the Pikachu clone, the pseudo-legendary, and more. And this time, they are all extremely specific to the region. And being so specific to the region, here's the context you'll need to know. This is the Kaskade region based on the Pacific Northwest, which is where I live. If you take Oregon and Washington, overlay them on top of each other, and bring in a little inspiration from the nearby bordering areas, you get this region. Really, it's just like if you took the Kaskade mountain range and the land surrounding it and scrunched it all up into one rectangle. Now, I'm a big fan of what Game Freak's been doing lately with their Pokemon design. That being that every Pokemon truly fits and are inspired by the region they originate in. Gen 7 is when they really started hitting the nail on the head with this idea. And Gen 8 is just wow. Every Gen 8 Pokemon is British. And so, as a guy who's been breaking down and explaining Pokemon design and lore origins for the last few years, I figured I'd try my hand at making some Fakemon, by which I mean doing the research and concepts and having Fakemon artists actually draw it because I'm bad at drawing. So, let's get going. New Pokemon that fit this region just about perfectly. In the last video, I explained the regional bug, so let's do the regional bird next. The Pidgeot Fletchling equivalent. This is Kwaile. Yes, its name is just Quail, but spelled wrong. So is Seal and Dugong. Get over it. Quail here is a baby quail. Quail are all over the West, particularly the California quail and the mountain quail. I wanted to reference both in this line, but what concept is it mixed with? Well, the other definition of quail is to feel or show fear or apprehension. So we gave Quail here a nervous expression, a stiff march, and it's using its eggshell as a protective helmet. Quail eggs are very tasty, by the way. Quite noteworthy. Also, when it comes to misspelling Quail to make this name, by spelling it this way specifically, it also contains whale, as in to cry. So it's good. Oh, and it's currently mono-flying type. Maybe normal flying, but it changes once it evolves into Quailert. Wait a minute. That pose, the salute, the feathers resembling a buzzed head. So yeah, remember that definition? Quail means to feel or show fear or apprehension. So we're basing this bird on the East Oregon militia. It is now flying ground type. Quailert is always on the lookout. It wants to protect its family from any and all danger, even if that danger actually poses no physical threat. It often keeps one of its eyes covered with its head feather for maximum focus. And when it detects the possibility of danger, it rapidly digs into the ground. So here's a fun thing. Compared to most birds, quail don't actually fly that much. They can fly, but they prefer not to. And also, they dig little holes into the ground to sit and sleep. It's cute. Look at this. That's how you know a quail slept here. And that's also what inspired the ground type here. Quailert is always alert and always a quail, mainly the California quail with its iconic head feather. But when it evolves, the head feather splits in two, and now it is much more resembling of the mountain quail. This is Quailstion, a quail bastion that questions everything. The highly reflective feathers on top of its head protect it from mind readers, and thus its ability reduces the damage done from psychic moves. Its feathers are caked in clay and dirt, forming a protective barrier. When laying on its eggs, its wings will even merge with the ground a bit, forming a bunker. It is the most defensive regional bird by far. So, yeah, this line is based on quails and tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists hiding in their off-the-grid bunkers, always on the lookout for danger, and joining their militia. Oregon actually has a very sizable bunch of people like this out east. Oregon is considered one of the best states for this kind of thing, thanks to its resources and the sheer number of like-minded folks out here. So many anti-government, self-sufficient doomsday prepper types out here. There are whole preparedness conventions out here, man. It's crazy. So I wanted to reference that and get an odd type combo figured out. And I also wanted a quail because there hasn't been a quail Pokemon. And also, they're unique. They're here. They're iconic. I mean, it's called the California quail and then also the mountain quail. It's perfect. It's perfectly fitting. especially of the second definition of quail. This is honestly an amazing connection, and I am way too proud of it. Now then, when I think classic tourist interpretation of the Pacific Northwest, I think about all of the Bigfoot merch found here. Sasquatches! So there's just got to be a Bigfoot Pokemon, right? But I don't want just a Sasquatch. It's gotta do something interesting with those huge feet. I've got it! The valleys in Oregon are huge on their vineyards, grapes and wine all over. And classically speaking, how do you make wine? Well, you pick all of the grapes and you squish them, like this, with your feet in a huge barrel. A Bigfoot Pokemon would be perfect for this, so here is Vitisquash, or Vitisquish. Which of those names do you prefer? For the rest of this video, we're gonna go with Vitisquash, but This is a normal grass-type Sasquatch Pokemon that has grapevines growing in and around its fur. It helps out farmers and wineries alike. Super friendly and lively. Its name comes from squash because it's a Sasquatch and also it squashes things, and Vitis is Latin for grapevine, and is also close to Vita, meaning life, because they've found their purpose in life and are very lively about it. This dude's so cute, and it's sure to, attract some folks. Now then, the second biggest thing besides Bigfoot is Paul Bunyan and his trusty sidekick, Babe the Blue Bull. And also, of course, the Oregon Trail is super famous, wagons pulled by oxen and all. So how about a blue bull ox? Especially one that has an outfit fitting of the time period, This is Auditaur, a baby blue ox. They have a hard time walking because they are babies, with their baby bonnets shaped like an auditorium. This is basically a baby minotaur, and also the name Auditore is Italian and means listener, so there's that. If you couldn't gather, it's a very sound-based Pokemon. Its cries can be heard for miles, and then it evolves into the normal electric type, Oxillery. Easy name, right? Ox. And auxiliary refers to audio cables, but the other definition of auxiliary means to provide supplementary or additional help and support, which is exactly what Babe did for Paul Bunyan, and also what all of the oxen did for the travelers on the Oregon Trail. So these oxen love music, but their own vocal range is low and limited. A really good bass though. When it charges and then screeches to a halt, it sounds like a record scratching, because they have vinyl-like hooves, and its horns, which look a bit like auxiliary cables, also function like a taser. Electricity surges through anything that touches both horns. It's neat. Now, here's a little monster. It's Mosster, a grass-type moss hamster. Roof moss is a huge problem here. I mean, here's my roof. I just cleaned this last year. But at least it's more manageable than the roof problem I had growing up. Shingles melting. But the moss roots get into the shingles and tear them up. It's butts. So, here's just a little moss hamster. Just a cute little one-off. Now then, beavers! Beavers are a huge deal in this part of the world. Really, all of northern North America. But Oregon likes them so much that we have a beaver on the state flag. And it's blue and yellow, so maybe a blue and yellow Beaver Pikachu clone, That would work out perfectly since beavers build dams, and this part of the world has so many hydroelectric dams. Look at how much of our power is from it. One of these dams is also the second largest dam in America, only behind Hoover. So this is Guruchi. All Pikachu clones are named in Japanese, and in Japanese, this pulls from the word bite and the sound of a spinning turbine, which is how hydroelectric dams work. And it's obviously water electric type. Its signature move, Hydro Charge, makes it so that from this point on, all of its water and electric type moves count as both types. It functions similarly to how Flying Press functions, where it picks whichever type would deal the most damage and does that one. For example, Water Gun would now be super effective on flying types because it would function as an electric type attack. And the other way around works too. In the wild, water passes over its tail, which spins these little turbine-esque spots. Its cheeks do this too, and the spots are laid out like how beaver tails are decorated, which is a style of donut. Oh, and it shoots water from between its teeth, hence the gap. Makes it higher pressure. By damming up the water gun from its throat, it shoots out at a higher pressure. Now then, beavers are super important to this region, and there already is a beaver Pokemon too, so we wanted to have another. Here is a regional Bidoof and Bibarel. Normal Steel, and then Steel Psychic type. So the reason beaver teeth are often orange is because they have a lot of iron in them, good for biting down and chomping down trees all the time. And then there are some cases, especially back in the day, of people getting metal fillings in their teeth, and then they would actually pick up on radio waves in their heads. It made quite the news story forever ago. So these guys do that. They have so much metal in their teeth that they pick up on radio waves, which has made Bibarel no longer a doofus. It's like Slowking levels of smart now. It's picking up on all of the news and talk shows. It's getting an education, and by this point, it's gotten even more sensitive to various types of waves now, like mind waves. Hence the psychic type. Fun fact! Did you know that Oregon is the grass pollen capital of the world? Yeah, if you happen to have allergies to grass pollen, do not come here. It is bad. Which is what inspired this guy, Histameanie. It's literally a grass-type Pokemon, because it is literally a ball of grass, and its yellow feet and face look like pollen under a microscope. It's a little meanie, making people around it sneeze constantly, hence also the histamine part of the name. Histamine is the reason we have allergies. But anyway, this design is pretty straightforward. But Rowviar is a bit more complex. The name comes from river, roe, and caviar. It's a salmon egg. Salmon are huge in this part. I was taught so many salmon facts in school. Oh my word! Why else would I have like 5 billion videos about this single kind of fish? In this case specifically, it is a Chinook salmon with a Chinookan style oar for a fin. Cute! And it evolves into Sanook, the name of course coming from salmon and Chinook, as well as canoe, and thus its canoe-like shape and design, and again, the Chinookan style of oar. These fishmon are huge, as they are based not only on the Chinook salmon, but also the now extinct saber-toothed salmon. Yeah, everything had saber teeth in the Ice Age. Saber-toothed salmon were basically gigantic salmon that were basically fished out of existence. That's what they get for being so tasty. Now hey, check this out! This is the Obsidian Flow. It is aftermath of volcanic activity here, and it is also what inspired this part of the region. And here you will find Obsidious. An insidious, rock-dark-type Pokemon made of obsidian. It's like if Geodude and Bisharp were mixed. And it's got obsidian arrowheads for arms, and its whole body is shaped like one too. Now then, the redwoods are a big famous part of the Pacific Northwest. I love these massive trees. Oh man. So, to reference them, here is a Kaskadian Tropius. It's a redwood tree, and it's swapped flying for ground type. Its ability essentially automatically causes it to ingrain for free upon coming out of its ball, but it can still return to the ball. Redwoods got crazy roots. I mean, they have to be crazy to be as big as they are. And the redwoods are also home to the banana slug, and I'm sure you know where this is going. Here's Ananot. It's a banana slug that looks even more like a banana. And it's covered in extra goopy snot-like slime, hence the name. And it does the Dugtrio Magnemite thing when it evolves. Now, it's a troop of banana slug goop. It's Ananoop, a banana bunch, starting to brown a bit. And also, if you combine this part with this part, it's 2 separate parts of a shotgun slug. Is that dumb? I think that might be dumb. Now, I love how misty and foggy the redwoods get. So I had to have a mist Pokemon, like a literal fog Pokemon. So, water ghost for sure. Why not a regional Gengar line? These Pokemon have been cleansed of their poison by the ultra-fresh air of this forest, and in its place, they absorbed the moisture. On foggy days, they are literally undetectable, even to the most advanced of Silphscopes and the most sensitive mediums. They're literal fog Pokemon. I love them. Gengar drips more moisture from his tongue. Now, here's a concept I don't think Game Freak has done with regional variants yet, and may never do, but it's an idea. A single alternate evolution instead of 2. Here's what I mean. This is Kaskadian Bellsprout. It's based on the Cobra Lily, which grow all around Mount Shasta, which is what the southernmost mountain of the Kaskade region is based on. This is important because people think this is one of the few psychic power spots on Earth. Like in real life. So we play with that concept a lot in the lore of this region. But anyway, it's mono grass type. It moves like a snake now, and instead of evolving into Weepinbell then Victorybell, it has only a single alternate evolution. And it's a new one. This is Drosabell. It is based on the Drosera, another carnivorous plant, and living on this magical mountain has awakened the psychic potential in this plant, and it uses that power to persuade its prey to come near and get stuck in its sticky grip. It's just like how Drosera bring their prey closer with nice smells and sticky liquids. And then, the final new mon for this video, let's end off with the pseudo-legendary. This is Buwuve! It's so cute, and I love it! It's just water type for now. They are super fast swimmers, but often get too playful and excited and bump into things. They evolve into Wasgrowl, and are now water dragon type. The fur on their chest is sharp when pet at some angles, but super soft at others. Just be careful, pet it the wrong way, and they are known to explode. And then it evolves into Warcane, one of the most intelligent Pokemon of the sea. And notoriously difficult to train, but very rewarding if you succeed. Some trainers can ride them like jet skis, as they are incredibly fast as well. So, if you haven't gathered, they are orca whales, but also wolves. So what the heck is that connection? Well, long story short, it's a Wasgo, also known as the Gonkadet. Quite literally, it is a wolf-orca hybrid creature that lives in the oceans of the Pacific Northwest, a totem animal to many locals, most notably the Haida. They use their arcane powers as well as their fins with claws to maintain their position as the local ocean's top predator. And by the time they're fully evolved, they no longer hunt in a pack, but rather are all lone wolves. As for their names, Buwuve is a wolf that makes bow waves, and it's super cute, so it goes to woo. No, really. Wasgrowl is simple, it's just Wasgo and growl, and then Warcane is an arcane orca whale wolf, which is a fierce warrior. And man, oh geez, oh, I just love how the art on these ones turned out especially. But what do you think of these and all of the rest in this video? Favorites? Least favorites? Which ones make you say, Game Freak should hire you guys? And which ones do you only like because it wasn't made by Game Freak? Let me know down below, and until next time, never stop using your noggin, and links to all of the artists' accounts are down in the description.